So everything you played was pretty much like a controlled, contained environment, right?
Yeah, the demo felt like everything I played from the demo did not make me think for a second that there was going to be an open world element to it. But again, it's short hands-on demo, like real. Well, I say short. It went by really quickly. Like I was playing for 30 minutes, but it definitely felt like it was like there was a beginning to end to this portion of the game that I played.
How was it in terms of gameplay? Because again, like RE4 is very action heavy, and RE8 by the end is pretty action heavy. But then the beginning of 7 is very kind of plotting and stripped down.
So this is a good question because this is something that we were told. But basically, in the video that we're seeing now in the trailer, you see how Grace is like surrounded by like files and dossiers and little like printout papers and things like that. That's apparently very like true to her character. So she is an FBI agent, and so she has like combat training because of that. But she is not Leon Kennedy. Like she is a bookworm. She is like a data cruncher, a number cruncher. She is not someone who goes out and like saves president's daughter, right? Like she knows how to use a gun because that's what FBI agents are taught to do, but that's kind of the extent of it. And you get that in the game because she is like constantly like you can hear her like taking like really like calming breaths to like calm herself down because of how scared she is of the situation. And like she will like react to like scary things where she turns on a light to a hallway and there's like a really scary sculpture at the end of the hallway and you can hear the character just go she's like very reactive with her fear to these things. And as a result, she's also like, the demo doesn't give you a gun. The demo requires you to find like everyday objects to sort of use as makeshift weapons. And so the primary weapon during the demo are these like empty glass bottles that she can find along the way, and she uses as projectiles to throw at a boom 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 giant monster that stalks you throughout the hallways.
Oh, what's it look like?
It looks like it's hard.
Sorry.
I've been telling this people, it reminds you guys see the movie Barbarian?
Yes.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the monster in Barbarian. Like it's super tall, like it goes all the way from the floor all the way to the top, and it's definitely, it's like you can tell that it's like a woman, but it's not Lady Demetress, right? It's like a monstrous looking like bulbous head with freaky eyes and like giant like Godzilla claws. Like it's very scary, and it just
that's
like
awesome.
And at one point it's the size of a tyrant or size of a Mr. X, but the sort of someone asked me if it was like Lisa Trevor-ish, and honestly I can kind of see that. Like
yeah. Okay, now you got me. I mean, I loved Lisa Trevor in the RE remake, and Barbarian. That monster is amazing. So I'm all for that. I'm still trying to figure out how all of this will sort of unfold, but like again, like it's you're piquing my interest here. I'm with Max too on the sort of kind of been there, done that. Like I feel like the hospital thing is like fine. I feel like so many horror games have done it, and then like the hotel / apartment complex like literally just did that in Silent Hill. Post-apocalypse is like, I mean, that is like your go-to in 90% of like action video games at this point. But it's Resident Evil, and I feel like I love the way those games play and control, and I have a feeling there's some tricks up their sleeve. Like they invented so many sort of like modern tropes when it comes to horror video games. So I have faith in them going back to sort of well-trodden familiar territory and doing something interesting with them.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if this creature lady is going to stalk you through the whole game. Then there's like the rumors about Leon Kennedy. So is that just, you haven't seen any indication of that so
all
far?
Bunk, no
I haven't
bunk.
seen a quaff in sight.
Damn.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll do a thing where it's like a protagonist shift in the middle, like, or he tags in, you play as him for a little bit. Like Resident Evil 4 had basically an entire DLC where you play a completely different main character, and it's awesome. And it's sort of seeing all the elements that happen with the first character through a different perspective, setting up things that end up, impacting them and vice versa. So I think that could have a lot of potential too.
Yeah.
I'm also, I love Leon, but if they want to take a break from him, I'd be okay with that too. either way, I love that dude. So
I'll
always play another game with him.
I think that Capcom has a pretty good handle on like teases and demos and stuff for things. Like when before Resident Evil 7 was even announced as RE7, they had the kitchen demo for the PlayStation VR, which was in that house, and it had like one of those mean people. Like it was like the lady would like come in and just like hold a knife to your face, and it was very that was their Capcom's unbranded horror demo for PSVR. And then 20 minutes later, they were like, "Hey, Biohazard, Resident Evil 7, check it out. It's the the new one. It's in a kitchen." And I don't know, that was very much like a curated demo specifically for showing that stuff off. And like, it wouldn't surprise me that much if the thing that you saw, Matt, was a carefully curated vertical slice that maybe even the final version varies. But yeah, again, like we have switching protagonists, like that's not unheard of for this series. And at the same time, like I feel like they kind of, I don't know, they kind of capped off what Ethan's whole story.
Yeah, I mean that's like a really nice like contrast between what I played and like I've played 7 and Village, is that Ethan was he was kind of a bland guy. Like he loved his wife, he loved his daughter, and then that's the extent of it. Yeah, and his hands, and he would always lose a hand. I
think the new thing for this one is that I think that her feet should keep getting messed up. Like she just step into bear traps and stuff, just dropping things on her feet. Do the Ethan hand thing, but it's just her feet. And I want her to make like to go like, oh, just do like the howling, like hop up and down on one foot. That's where the third person comes in.
I do think it's a little interesting that it's like, I mean, he was he was a bumbling idiot and lost his hands in like cartoonish ways, right? And like duct tape his arms back on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the protagonist of 2 and 3 remake, and obviously 4, where you're full on like superhero basically, like those characters were like a lot more confident, I guess. And so I guess going back to a protagonist that's like throwing glass bottles, it makes me think like, how deep into the survival horror stuff are they going? Because I know they've like what Resident Evil Revelations 2, right? You played as, what was it, Claire Redfield, and then like Barry's daughter, and Barry's daughter was just like didn't really have like wasn't a trained weapons expert, wasn't a cop or anything like that, a special forces or anything. So I do wonder if that's where they'll bring in Leon for stuff,
Yeah, that could be a cool arc. Is like it becomes. I mean, these become more action heavy in the second half usually. Anyway, then you just swap characters. You get somebody who can carry an infinite rocket launcher or whatever,
and it works with the perspective change.
Yeah. I like that a lot. That's all. That's all so fascinating to me. No release date for this game yet, right? Just 2026.
No, February 27th.
No. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, even better. Cool. Yep. All right. That'll be here before we know it. I got so used to watching all these showcases and directs and all this stuff over the last week that literally just said 2026 that I was just like, I don't know if I believe it. But now these guys know they're, a few months out ahead of GTA 6 or anybody else that might eat the lunch.
I mean, Capcom's gotten so good at this pipeline. And like, Brian, your point about like them making all of these assets and things, like that makes sense for them to make all these manila folders and like coffee cups and stuff, because like all their stuff is on the RE engine. They're going to make other games. They're going to make other RE games. It makes sense to be like, we've got this huge library of different, tools and assets and stuff just kicking around. I mean, I feel like those office cubicles and things, they could be great, maybe in some sort of laboratory where people are making dinosaurs, just throwing that out there. Maybe if they wanted to do some sort of, crisis involving dinos, that could be cool. But
yeah, I would like that. I mean, when I see manila folders in offices, the first thing I think of is the dinosaurs.
What could be in there? Pictures of DNA.
That is true. Matt, you did a piece this year, right? You did this awesome thing that was about like the sort of rise and fall and rise again of Capcom.
Yeah,
and I feel like this, and it's awesome. Go check that out if you haven't. And it like really tells a story about like I think for so long, AAA game studios people just looked at them as like they just got worse, right? Like I think that like the way people talk about modern Ubisoft, which like I love a bunch of their modern games, right? But it's like even them and Rockstar's output has shrunk significantly from putting out like a game or two every year or two to just one every 10, 15 years now. People aren't exactly hot on EA on any given day, but Capcom has had this like really awesome sort of renaissance where they at one point, you could look at any of their franchises and be like, this is not really going particularly well right now. And I think your piece does a really good job of breaking that down about sort of like they were stumbling on like Resident Evil and Street Fighter and a couple others all at the same time, and then have sort of dragged all of those back into being not only relevant but like revolutionary and modernized new franchises. And it's, you know, I feel like Resident Evil is like the fact that we just recently got Resident Evil 4 remake, and you know, in the past 2 years, and now we're getting Resident Evil 9, and it's like these are big, gorgeous games that take like, you know, 12, 15, 20 hours to beat sometimes. We all looked at RE4 like it was going to be like, oh, I bet you they're going to cut all this stuff, because after RE3 remake, they shrunk that game down a lot, and it was kind of a bummer. And 4 was one of those sacred cows, and they knocked it out the park. And it's one of those things where I have a tough time in my head, like sort of identifying which version of that game I like better, because I love them both equally for slightly different reasons. And so, yeah, I'm really fascinated with the future of this franchise looks like. We also thought like we would find out about the next remake, and that's obviously coming. I feel like that's the kind of thing they'll tease in this, right? Like there'll be an Easter egg. I know there's an Easter egg in the ending of 4 teasing 5. But when, like, I don't know, we've been talking a lot about maybe them remaking 1 again, but as a, you know, first person / I guess optional third person shooter that doesn't have tank controls.
That's what I thought they were teeing up, because during the whole like the Summer Game Fest thing, they had like they had one that was like the Resident Evil sale, and then another one that was like Happy Birthday Resident Evil, and we kept being like, oh, here it comes, and then it was nothing. But like, yeah, next year is the 30th anniversary of the franchise, so
yeah. I would love a remake of 1. I know 1 was technically already remade for GameCube, but I would love a second remake because it's my favorite game of all time, or one of my favorite games of all time. So.
Hey, thanks for watching this clip from Beyond, IGN's weekly PlayStation show. You can find the full episode over on youtube.com/IGN Games. And don't forget, new episodes of Beyond drop every Wednesday on IGN.com, the IGN Games YouTube, and all your favorite podcast platforms. Thanks again for watching, and as always, Beyond.